So have you ever, wondered what it'd be like if your normal smartphone,
Mm.
if it could just connect straight to satellites? Anywhere. I mean, think about it, a world with no dead zones at all. Truly universal connection.
Yeah, it sounds almost like science fiction, doesn't it? A pretty incredible idea.
Exactly. And, well, that's the really ambitious vision behind AST SpaceMobile. So today we're going to do a deep dive into AST SpaceMobile Inc. The ticker is ASTS. We'll be looking at, data, insights, really digging in, especially for you, our American investors listening. We'll try to unpack the tech, their financial health, where they sit in the market, the whole big picture.
And look, this isn't just another company analysis. It's really about a potential, well, a huge shift in how we all connect globally. Think about it. If they pull this off, it's not just connecting remote areas. It means your phone could work literally anywhere. That's fundamental. We'll help you kind of cut through the hype, the noise, and see what really matters for this. Well, it's a high growth, but definitely high risk opportunity.
That vision is certainly audacious. Universal connectivity.
Wow.
But let's ground that a bit. What exactly is AST SpaceMobile at its core? What's the big idea here?
Well, okay. Founded back in 2017, they're based in Midland, Texas. Their main goal is to build a space-based cellular broadband network. Sounds simple, but the twist is revolutionary. They want to provide direct 5G connectivity from satellites in low Earth orbit, straight to ordinary, unmodified smartphones. Yours, mine. The idea is to wipe out dead zones, provide stable connections, especially in emergencies, or for tricky areas like, maritime routes or aviation.
Okay, hold on. The magic trick then is no special equipment for your phone. That's the part that always gets me. We're used to needing those bulky sad phones or dishes. How on earth do they plan to do that with just a regular phone?
Yeah, that's the core innovation. It hinges on their unique tech, which they have protected with a lot of proprietary IP and patents. This tech allows that direct link to standard smartphones. That's what sets them apart from traditional satellite comms needing special terminals. They do it with these satellites, Blue Walker and Bluebird. Think of them as enormous cell towers in space, LEO satellites. And when I say enormous, I mean huge. Some are planned to be the size of a tennis court, packed with massive phased array antenna arrays.
Phased array.
Yeah.
So not just one big antenna, but like a grid of tiny ones working together.
Exactly. Thousands of small, digitally steerable antennas. This lets them focus powerful signals very precisely, enough to connect with the low-power antenna in your everyday smartphone. Blue Walker 3 was the proof of concept, the test satellite. It worked. The Bluebirds are the ones intended for the commercial service. But yeah, the challenge is immense, just building, deploying, and operating these giant structures in space. It's a massive engineering feat.
It sounds incredibly ambitious and honestly astronomically expensive.
Yeah.
Building and launching these things. What kind of partnerships have they managed to line up that they can't possibly do this alone?
Oh, absolutely not. Partnerships are crucial. And they've landed some big ones, major global telcos like AT&T, Vodafone, Rakuten Mobile in Japan. But the really big news lately, the one that significantly moved the stock and really validated their approach in many eyes, was the partnership with Verizon.
Ah, Verizon. Okay, that's huge here in the U.S.
Exactly. It really turned heads and showed major confidence from a top U.S. carrier.
And it seems like they're not just talking the talk, they're making some serious moves lately. Let's dig into that recent news because the market reaction, it's been pretty wild, hasn't it?
Absolutely. That Verizon partnership announced May 29th, 2025, that was a game changer. It's a $100 million commercial deal for satellite to smartphone service right here in the U.S. Like you said, huge validation. And the stock, it jumped a staggering 69% on that day, hit a record high of $54.18. And as of late July 2025, it was holding strong around $55.39. So real momentum.
Wow, a 69% jump in a day? That's incredible validation. But, surges like that, sometimes they make investors nervous about sustainability. Anything specific to watch out for after such a run-up besides just normal volatility?
That's a fair point. It absolutely reflects strong market confidence, but yeah, execution risk is always the key here. For a company like ASTS, the real proof is in launching those commercial satellites successfully and actually rolling out the service. When a stock jumps that fast, it often means a lot of future success is already baked into the price. So any hiccups, delays, technical issues, they could cause pretty significant pullbacks. It's sensitive.
Right. And speaking of execution, funding is always the elephant in the room for these massive space projects. How are they doing on the money front?
They've shown a strong ability to raise capital, which is definitely a positive sign. Just recently, May 23rd, 2025, they closed a $575 million convertible note offering.
Convertible notes. So that's debt that can become stock later.
Exactly. For investors, it's important to know these can convert into shares down the line. That means potentially more shares outstanding, which could dilute the value of existing shares. It's called dilution risk.
Something to keep an eye on.
Yes, definitely. But the key thing here was who invested. This round included strategic money from Google, AT&T, and Vodafone again. Google put in about $100 million of a $200 million chunk from that trio, so that significantly boosts their cash reserves to build out the network. It shows continued commitment from major players.
Okay, so they've got money, big partners, the stock's buzzing. What's the next concrete step? What should investors be watching on the roadmap?
Well, the big thing is satellite launches. They have a roadmap. They're planning to launch about 60 of the Block 2 Bluebird satellites, the commercial ones across 2025 and 2026. That's the tangible build-out investors need to see. And related to that, there was regulatory progress too. Back in March 2025, they struck a deal with Legato Networks.
Legato, what does that give them?
It's about spectrum, securing long-term access to 45 millihertz of crucial low-frequency spectrum in the US and Canada. That spectrum is vital for their direct-to-device service here and helps clear a major regulatory hurdle for North America.
Okay, that's important. So development, investment, partnerships. But what about the bottom line right now? Are they actually making any money yet, or is this still purely a bet on the future?
Yeah, connecting this back to the financials, ASTS is definitely still in the R&D heavy early commercial phase, so no, not profitable yet. Way off from that. Their 2024 revenue was tiny, about $4.4 million, mostly from some U.S. government contracts and reselling ground equipment. Compare that to zero revenue in 2023. Meanwhile, they're spending a lot. Operating costs in 2024 were around $247 million. That's R&D, engineering, admin. Building this whole system costs a fortune.
Right. A lot going out, not much coming in yet. What about their cash pile to keep things running?
As of the end of 2024, they had about $567 million in cash. That was projected to cover roughly 12 months. But as we mentioned, that recent $575 million funding round dramatically extends their runway, gives them more breathing room. Looking ahead, Q1 2025 projections were interesting. Revenue expected to jump to $200 million for that quarter.
$200 million
Yeah.
from $4.4 million for the whole previous year. This is a huge leap.
It is, likely reflecting upfront payments or milestones from some of these big partnership deals kicking in, but they still projected a loss, about 0.19 cents per share for Q1. So it really underscores the point. For ASTS investors right now, it's all about future potential, hitting those tech milestones, not current profits. It's a long game. You're betting on market disruption down the road.
Okay, so they're building this thing in space, but space is getting pretty busy these days.
Yeah.
Who are they actually up against? How do they stand out?
Yeah, the competitive landscape is definitely something to watch. The whole satellite communications industry, especially LEO broadband, is booming. You've got Starlink from SpaceX, Amazon's Kuiper project, OneWeb. But ASTS's key differentiator, that direct-to-smartphone capability, that's potentially huge. Most others need a special dish or terminal. That limits adoption, right? But if your existing phone just works anywhere.
That changes the game for regular people and for the phone companies.
Exactly. It potentially makes satellite connectivity seamless, mainstream. That's the unique value prop. And for the traditional mobile carriers, they're always looking for growth, ways to stand out. ASTS offers them a way to plug coverage gaps, offer emergency services, connect IoT devices, all without making their customers buy new hardware. That's powerful.
That makes sense for the big picture.
Yeah.
But anyone else trying to do that exact same thing, direct to standard phone?
There are a couple of others playing in that specific space. Link Global is one. They're also developing direct-to-phone tech. They claim they might get to market faster in some ways, but ASTS is aiming for a more robust system, higher bandwidth, actual 5G speeds with their larger satellites. Then you've got Apple with their emergency SOS via satellite on iPhones that uses Globalstar.
Right, I've seen that. But that's just for emergencies like texting 911.
Precisely. It's text-based, low bandwidth. Very different from the broadband internet access ASTS is aiming for. Useful, but not the same market.
Okay, so Link is maybe the closest direct competitor technology-wise. What about those big names? Starlink, Kuiper?
We'd call those indirect competitors in this context. They offer satellite internet, yes, but they require separate user terminals. Starlink's the leader there, obviously, but you need their dish. Amazon's Kuiper, when it launches commercially, is also expected to need its own receiver. OneWeb focuses more on enterprise and government, B2B, and also needs terminals. So ASTS's edge really is that seamless integration for telcos and their existing customers. No new hardware needed. That's the advantage partners like Verizon clearly see and are betting on. It removes a huge adoption barrier.
All right, let's bring it back to the investment angle for our listeners. High potential, complex tech. What's the bottom line? Upsides, downsides?
Okay, summing it up for an investor, ASTS really fits that profile of high risk, ultra high return. Let's break that down. The ultra high return potential. It comes from that revolutionary tech. If direct to smartphone works globally at scale, it could genuinely disrupt the massive global telecom market. The potential market is just enormous. Billions of people still lack reliable connectivity, plus huge applications in maritime, aviation, disaster relief, IoT, and those strong partnerships we talked about. They provide validation, funding, and crucially market access through giants like AT&T, Vodafone, Verizon, and tech backing from Google.
And the funding seems solid for now, right? Plus, analysts seem positive.
Yes, their ability to raise substantial capital is a big plus, although more will likely be needed. And you're right, Wall Street sentiment is generally bullish. Many analysts have buy or strong buy ratings. They're projecting pretty aggressive growth, like 68% annual revenue growth, EPS potentially growing around 67% annually. Some even see break even by 2027. That's optimistic, but shows the perceived potential. Plus, you have macro factors. If interest rates come down, that could make funding cheaper and growth stocks more attractive. And there's just a lot of global investment flowing into space tech and 5G right now.
Okay, that all sounds very compelling on the upside. But you led with high risk. So what are the big red flags? What keeps investors up at night here? The ultra-high risk side is just as significant. First, massive technical risk. This technology is completely unprecedented at this scale. Launching, deploying, operating those huge, complex Bluebird satellites reliably, managing interference, achieving global coverage. These are monumental technical hurdles yet to be fully proven in a commercial setting. Failure is a real possibility. Then, the cost. Building a global satellite network is unbelievably expensive, astronomically expensive. Future funding rounds are almost certain. And that likely means more dilution for existing shareholders, like we discussed with those convertible notes. Your slice of the pie could get smaller.
Okay, technical risk, funding risk, and dilution. What else? Profitability seems like a big one, too. Absolutely. They're burning through cash now and will be for a while. Long-term profitability is still a question mark based on projections, not current reality. There are also big operational and commercialization risks. They depend on partners like Verizon and AT&T to really push and sell the service. They face complex regulations in every country they want to operate in. And will consumers actually adopt it widely? And even with their unique angle, competition is fierce and growing. You've got tech giants with deep pockets playing in the LEO space. Finally, volatility. As a pre-revenue, high-growth story stock, ASTS's price swings wildly based on news and sentiment. Expect a bumpy ride.
So putting it all together,
Yeah.
who is this stock actually for? It clearly isn't for your average conservative investor.
No, definitely not. My takeaway is that AST SpaceMobile is for long-term investors who have a very high tolerance for risk. You have to be genuinely prepared for the possibility of losing your entire investment. Think of it as that moonshot allocation in a portfolio for many American investors. High growth, potentially disruptive tech. It should only be a small, manageable part of a well-diversified portfolio. Please don't bet the farm on this, and if you do invest, you need to monitor it constantly. Watch every satellite launch, every test result, new partnership announcements, their cash burn rate, regulatory news, what competitors are doing. It demands active attention.
Makes sense. Okay, beyond the tech, the market, the risks, what about the people,
Yeah.
the team?
Yeah.
Do they have the right stuff internally to actually pull this massive project off?
That's a great question. Internal capability is key. On paper, they look strong. The CEO, Abel Avellin, has deep experience, over 25 years in satellite and telecom. He's got a track record. They've assembled a highly specialized engineering team, pulling talent from places like NASA, SpaceX, OneWeb. You need that kind of brain power. Their ability to land those big investments from Google, AT&T, Vodafone, that shows strong financial management and the ability to sell the vision convincingly. And they've proven adept at managing these complex global partnerships. That's not easy. Plus, they're building their own satellite production facility in Texas, which shows commitment to scaling.
So the ingredients seem to be there. Experienced leaderships, smart engineers, good partnerships, funding ability. But what are the internal hurdles as they try to scale up?
Oh, the challenges are still significant. Scaling up that workforce for mass satellite production is tough. Managing that cash burn rate efficiently day to day is critical. And maybe the biggest internal challenge is converting all these great partnership agreements into actual, smooth, widespread commercial service rollouts across the globe. Execution is everything now. It's one thing to sign a deal, another to make it work seamlessly worldwide.
Wow. Okay, this deep dive really paints a picture of AST SpaceMobile as a company right on the bleeding edge. The vision is incredible, changing how everyone connects. but it's also a story filled with huge ambition, fascinating innovation, and, yeah, some really significant hurdles still ahead.
Indeed. The potential rewards, if they succeed, are truly immense. A world without dead zones? That's transformative. But that journey is absolutely packed with uncertainties. It demands a very cautious, informed approach from any investor. The ultimate question for you listening is how much risk are you comfortable taking for a shot at that future? Betting on truly global, direct to your smartphone connectivity.
We really hope this deep dive into AST SpaceMobile has given you some valuable insights and things to think about. If you found it helpful, please do consider subscribing for more analysis like this.